Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member Fischbach, my fellow Minnesotan, for focusing on energy in rural America. Thank you so much to our witnesses here this morning. I want to focus my questions today on biofuels and the role that they can play in helping to build our rural communities and the pocketbooks of hardworking Americans. Right now, when I'm back in my district, I'm hearing a lot about supply chain shortages and higher gas and energy prices, in addition to increases in the price of groceries and other goods. I'm also hearing from farmers who are wondering about all these rumors swirling about the RVOs and that the administration is considering. They thought they could expect robust numbers, not more relief for refiners. And I'm wondering the same thing myself, actually. It's clear to me, especially after hearing the testimony from Ms. Skor and Mr. Wheeler, that we need to be investing more in the biofuels industry right now as we seek to address energy costs. Ethanol and biodiesel blends have traditionally saved money for consumers at the pump as cheaper, cleaner burning fuel options. And they drive rural investment, which means more and better paying jobs in rural communities. But biofuels are also subject to policy decisions, just like the other fuel sources that Americans rely on. So I'd like to focus on the policy decisions in front of us now. First, the administration should immediately issue robust RVO numbers for 2022. This delay has gone on for far too long. Second, we should make E15 available year-round across the country. Ms. Skor, thank you for mentioning my bill in your opening remarks, the Year-Round Fuel Choice Act. And this should be passed as soon as possible by this Congress. And I'm glad you also mentioned the $1 billion in biofuels infrastructure, which I believe is so critical in the Build Back Better Act. Cindy Axne, my great colleague from Iowa, and I have been leading the fight to extend the biodiesel tax credit through 2026, and I think we have to move immediately. Because with gas and energy costs rising, we would be fools not to address the role that biofuels can play in reducing price pressures for Americans across the country. With that in mind, I'd like to turn to Ms. Skor for the first question. In your written testimony, you included a chart that demonstrated clearly that RIN prices are not correlated with gas prices, which is an argument that we often hear from fossil fuel companies. With that in mind, can you speak to the role that biofuels play in placing downward pressure on gas prices and helping Americans save money on fuel and energy costs?
Absolutely, Congresswoman. And you mentioned the two things that are going to help us reduce the price of fuel for consumers, a strong renewable fuel standard and year-round sales of E15. The more biofuel we blend, the greater our ability to reduce gas prices. This year, according to the EIA, the retail price of gasoline in average has gone up by $1 per gallon. That is a hard hit for working Americans in all 50 states. So with a strong renewable fuel standard that encourages and really requires more blending of low-cost biofuels with year-round sales of E15, that's how we can really support drivers and make sure that we're managing fuel costs appropriately.
Let me just follow up your view moving forward with the regulatory certainty that would come from year-round sales of E15. How would the industry be ready and poised to provide renewable fuels across the country?
We're absolutely ready and poised to do that now. In fact, we've had 3 summers of year-round E15. Consumers have already driven 25 billion miles on this fuel. It is a fantastic fuel. It's a great value for the consumers. We simply need to return back to the marketplace that we had for the past 3 years. We're absolutely ready and able, and retailers, too, are anxious to be able to offer this choice to their consumers.
Thank you so much for your perspective, Ms. Skor. And, you know, your comments really do help highlight the important role that biofuels play in today's renewable energy economy as we look to alternatives to traditional fossil fuels. As you know, I'm leading that Year-Round Fuel Choice Act to make sure that access to E15 for all the reasons that you talked about, to lower the cost at the pump, decrease the carbon intensity of our transportation sector, and support family farmers and the biofuels sector. I'll continue to focus on the role that they play in the renewable economy of rural America. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and I yield back.